The wig in today's video is from OMGHER Hair. It is a 360 lace wig with yaki hair, and it's 180% density and it's 20 inches. The wig is pre-plucked and the knots do come slightly bleached. The only issue is that it is brown lace, which is also something they do not disclose on the website. This video is not sponsored, so this is my real first impression / review. The first thing I'm going to do is dye my wig. I'm using the Revlon hair dye in the shade black. I honestly just follow the instructions to mix it, and then I pour it into a bowl and start applying it to my wig. At first, I was like, oh, let me use the brush, but that's cute and all, but typically, I'm gonna use my hands. It just makes it easier. It's a little bit quicker. I don't technically use my hands whenever I get to the front where the knots are, but as far as the length of the wig, I just use my hands. Because this wig is so thick, I did have to use 2 boxes of hair dye. So please make sure that if you do get this wig at this density, get 2 boxes. To bleach the knots, I'm going to use this BW2 bleach, and then I'm also going to use this Blonde 35 developer. I typically just eyeball the mixture, but you typically want to get a consistency that's not too thick and not too thin, because you don't want it to seep through the knots, but you also don't want it to sit on top of the knots. Very tricky, but something you can fix. I like to start with the knots furthest from the front of the wig because those typically take a little bit longer to bleach. That way, as you're moving through the wig, you're giving the back part just a little bit more time to bleach than the front. While you're doing this, make sure that you're not pressing too hard into the lace because you want it to just sit on the knots. You don't want to bleach the roots. So I let this sit for about 35 to 40 minutes because I want to take the knots up to a shade that matches my skin tone best. Next, we're just going to rinse that out. You don't need any shampoo right now, just rinse out all of the bleach. And here's what it looks like after it's been rinsed. As you can see, these knots match my skin tone perfectly and the roots are still black. Then we're going to go in with the Shimmering Lights purple shampoo and the Taraji P. Henson blue shampoo. We're going to mix these together because sometimes whenever you bleach your knots, you're going to end up with brassy knots. So we want to get rid of any type of brassiness that's in the lace. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of water just to help loosen up the product and make sure that it's penetrating the lace. Mix it together and let it sit for 10 minutes. Then we're just going to wash that out. I had to put my whole wig in the sink just because she still had a little bit of dye on her, but you don't have to put the whole wig in the sink. Next, we're moving into plucking. My wig is still wet. I like to pull the hairline back and just kind of tweeze around the hairline, and I like to just move my hand up and down the side of the wig that I'm actually plucking. Once you get enough, you're going to comb that out and you should see a slight difference. And then you're also going to have a little bit of hair on your hands. Next, we're going to part out what we just plucked. We're going to move it forward and then start plucking behind that section. You want to make sure you're moving quickly because if you stay in one spot too long, you're going to create balding. And to be completely honest, I think I plucked a little bit too much on this side. Because this is a pre-plucked wig, you can't pluck too much, so just be careful. And here is a before and after side by side, so you can kind of see the difference that plucking makes. Now I'm going to repeat the same steps on the other side. However, whenever I get to the middle, I'm not going to pluck as much because that's where you're typically going to do your parts, and you don't want the middle of your wig to be thin. My suggestion is to only pull back one layer and pluck behind there, but don't go any farther than that. Next, I'm going to take my wax stick to smooth everything back. Then we're going to go in with a hot comb to lay everything flat. I like to also spray Got To Be on the hairline and then press it in with a hot comb because I feel like this keeps the hair out of the way whenever it's time for me to install. And then it also creates that hairline look. Now, as far as styling, you can style it however you want. I am going to use the crimp method because I love the beach wave look. I love big hair. It's me, you know? We're going to start in small sections. We're going to crimp right side up, let it sit for 10 seconds. Then we're going to let that go and flip the iron the opposite way. And we're going to repeat that all the way until we reach the bottom of the hair. And then you have your beautiful crimps. To be completely transparent, this did take me about an hour. As I moved up the wig, I did start using a heat protectant spray. That's something that will help keep the crimps stay a little bit longer and protect your hair from heat damage. And here's how she turned out. Not sure why I decided to shake them like I'm selling hair, but she's gorgeous. Now I'm going to go in with my lace tint spray. This is the True Match Conceal in the shade Bronze. This is probably the biggest mistake I made in this video. I'm just going to go ahead and spray the inside of my wig and then I'm going to blow dry it, but you'll see why it was the biggest mistake later in the video. So I went ahead and cut the sides of the lace so that way I can adjust the lace frontal to my head shape. Now I'm going to cut the lace into 3 different sections so that way I can work in sections to glue each part down. For me, this is just easier because my hairline doesn't really go straight across. I like to use the hot comb after I've glued it down just because I like to heat the glue and then allow it to dry so that way it's a little bit more adhesive to my skin. But if you're a beginner, please be careful doing this because it will burn you if you're not careful. After the hot comb, I like to go in with just the regular comb and really press it up against my skin to make sure we're all secure. Next, we're going to wrap the band around our lace frontal and we're going to give it about 10 minutes to sit and melt together. After allowing our lace to sit for about 10 minutes, we're going to unwrap it. And I like to go in with the hot comb just to slick everything back, melt it a little bit, and then I'm going to go in with some Got To Be spray, and this is going to serve as a extra glue. Don't spray this directly to your lace. Spray it on your finger and dab it onto all the places that you added glue to. Then we're going to wrap that up and let it sit for another 10 minutes. And now that I look like a completely different person, it's time to see how she did. And of course, I think she looks great. Loving the curls, the beach wave. It just is definitely giving what it's supposed to give. Now I'm just going to create a part on the side that I didn't over pluck, and I'm going to do a side part. Next, I'm going to use my edge brush to brush some baby hairs out. I feel like it comes out thinner that way. And then I'm going to use the hot comb to press them forward. Then we're going to use a 1/2 inch flat iron to curl the baby hairs. This is going to help the baby hairs stay in the direction they need to go. And we'll do the same thing for the ear tab baby hair. Now that your baby hair is set, you're going to go back in with a hot comb just to smooth everything back. And if you have to fix your baby hairs, fix it again. But then we're going to wrap it with our band and let it sit again. Next, we're going to go back in with our wax stick and create our part. We want to make sure that our part is defined, so we're going to use the wax stick and the hot comb just to kind of lay things a little bit flatter. And since we used the hot comb, it kind of straightened everything. So we're gonna go back in with our crimper and we're just going to re-crimp the parts that are straight. So now I'm going to go in with a light bronzer because remember when I told you guys that tinting the lace was probably my biggest mistake? Yeah, so it made my lace way too dark. And since this is brown lace, please do not tint the lace unless necessary. So I'm trying to go in with a lighter shade of brown just to kind of lighten it up. Now I'm just going in with some melting spray and I'm just going to dab it onto my lace and try and bake it. Do I feel like it worked? No, but it helped. Now I'm just going in with my concealer just to kind of define my part and make sure that it is visible. Although the lace is still noticeable, I absolutely am in love with what it's looking like right now. And this is the final look. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're going to get the wig, the link is down below. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye.